my fellow Wedding Florist friends, and welcome to the Wedding Florist Social Podcast. This is the podcast for wedding florists to learn all about acing their online presence. I'm your host, Vicky Laffey, and as a wedding florist of over 10 years now and a certified digital marketer, I want to help you get the right clients, get more followers, and never be stuck for content ideas again. Click the link in my description to get your free Wedding Florist Guide to Social Media Content Creation today. Well, hello again, my fellow florists. Welcome to this week's episode of Wedding Florist Social. We've got a fabulous guest on today. We have Lucy Johnstone Social, who I'll get to introduce her in a moment, who is a social media manager and content mentor. And it struck me that, a lot of you are, we're just one-man bands, we're just solopreneurs, as the saying goes. And with the best will in the world, social media goes to the back of the queue a lot of the time, doesn't it? And we feel this pressure to, that we're falling behind or to keep up with it, but there's always so much more going on in life. So I brought Lucy on because she ran a masterclass recently, which was all about how to help you focus on the social media. That she's going to go through 3 areas of social media to focus on to just help you guys with the overwhelm, because we feel like we need to do it all, and we see other florists kind of really just succeeding and getting all of the followers and, lots of likes and engagement and, all of that sort of thing. And you're sitting there with 2 likes on the latest reel that you posted, or, it's total ghost town on your Instagram, and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong here? And it just makes you want to give up. So I've brought Lucy on to help us with that. She's going to go through the 3 main areas to focus on. But first of all, Lucy, I am rabbiting on. Would you like to introduce yourself, my love?
Thank you so much for inviting me, Vicky. Yes, hello everyone. I'm Lucy Johnstone. I'm a social media manager and content mentor. So I help women in business to learn about social media to build their businesses online. And I fully appreciate the amount of time that it takes to be doing this online. So my aim is to break things down to make it easier for you to understand, firstly, to understand the updates and to be able to make the most of it, as we say, to sort of work smarter and not harder. So I try and incorporate that into the week.
My followers are used to me saying work smarter rather than harder. I think I'm going to get that on a t-shirt, actually.
I think we all should.
Absolutely. It's some excellent advice I was given 20 years ago, and it's always stuck with me. Work smarter rather than harder. Absolutely. So, Lucy, I've followed you on Instagram for a while. There's the power of social media, first of all. That's how I came to know you. So it's definitely worthwhile doing this whole Instagram and Facebook business, because that's how you get to make connections and meet lovely people like you, Lucy.
And I think that's it. Like you said, people will be following you and not liking and not engaging, and they're just like, that somebody pops up on their feed and you're like, you're like constantly there, and they keep seeing you, so that when you are in the mood, when you are in the frame of mind, and when you do need something, they come to mind first, and that is the power of social media. So and it's not always the likes and the engagement, it's people are always there looking and watching and taking in what you're saying. So not to get too disheartened with the engagement sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of lurkers in the background, and I forget the latest figures on this, but there is that thing of, just before we get into all of this areas to focus on, there is that thing of people need to see you a certain amount of times before they actually take any sort of action with you, like DM you or book you.
Yes, and I think that has gone up, especially in the last few years, with a lot more people on social media, a lot more businesses on social media, and our attention span going down. So it's definitely there. And I'm a lurker for other businesses, and it's something that you see somebody, you're like, oh yeah, I know, I'm going to have to think about that in about 6 months time. So brilliant. And you keep seeing them. So it's not, I think lurkers are kind of the best, really, because they're there, they're constantly there and taking in what you're saying. So but 100%. You just don't know about it, that's all. so that's if you're worried about the post and the engagement, keep posting, because there are people watching that you don't know about. So that's kind of
100%. I mean, I've had people who'd booked me for weddings who've actually followed me for a couple of years. That they've been following me even before they were engaged.
Exactly,
they're just hypothetically planning this perfect wedding day of theirs, and then when the other half finally does propose, they start contacting all these people on Instagram. But Lucy, in terms of, we can't do it all, can we? As small business owners, as solopreneurs, as that saying goes. There's always something else to do. There's the kid to look after, or there's the delivery to be done, or the accounting and the bookkeeping. We have to be everything, and with the best will in the world, social media goes to the back of the queue a lot of the time, which just adds to that pressure, because I've got to catch up on my social media. I must catch up, and all of that sort of stuff. So. If somebody's in that position, if somebody's listening and they think, well, yeah, that's me, I don't have time to do everything that I should be doing, in quotes. What are there certain areas that people can focus on? What's the three main things?
So the first main thing I would suggest is to have a phone stand set up where you work. So if you're if you have a workspace and you that's where you finish your bouquets, and that's where you do all the work, literally have a stand set up there. So every morning when you or whenever you're doing your work, you have your phone, and even have a little sign saying start recording. So have your phone recording what you're doing, because having content is something that's what we need. We need to be building content. We need to be getting videos and behind the scenes of what you're doing. So if you have a stand already, get into the habit of putting your phone there, recording you making what you're doing. And then if you do that every single day, and if you get into a habit of it, because I think that's the thing, until it becomes a habit, you're having to force yourself to do it, and you forget it. And you've made a beautiful bouquet, and you're like, oh, I could have done like the workings of it. And every time you make a bouquet, if you forget to do it during the workings of it, then just record, if you have a stand, or record it. So even with a reel, I would like to just have the phone really close to the one flower, and just pull it back slowly, and so you can see the whole bouquet. And that's, you finished, you're done, and that takes like 5 seconds to do. So do that for every single bouquet that you do, or every single flower, everything that you do. And then, so I'm kind of like, oh, technically that would be really good if you have the bouquet sitting in your work space, and then you get the camera and go close to the flower. And then once you've set it up, or the bride's holding it, then you can do another video really up close with the flower, and then pull it back. And then that's a beautiful reel. But until you start doing the videos, and until you start collecting this content, it's going to be you're on the back foot. So having that record everything you do mindset, you're going to end up with a phone full of content. And what I do is put them into a particular folder. So if I'm sitting there thinking, oh no, I haven't done anything, so I can go into the folder, I'm like, brilliant, I've got something right there that I can put straight on. And then you'll get into being able to be a bit more technical with it. Like I said, that real idea, having it in your workshop, and then having it, like if you're doing a centerpiece on the table, and then you're having it in the room, and you can see everything. So, but video is key nowadays.
This is it. I mean, just to pick up on something you said there, I'm often telling people, you can't make reels, or you can't do posts if you haven't been photographing or videoing anything throughout the day. And it is that muscle memory thing, isn't it, almost, where like you have to get into that habit of it, where it doesn't seem like a real slog to kind of, oh right, okay, I'll have to set my camera up, and then what am I going to do for this reel? And you should, as a matter of course, as a wedding florist, be taking photos and videos at every stage anyway, even if it's purely just for a record of what you've made, in case there's a complaint or anything, which, touch wood, is few and far between. You should be doing it purely for that purpose anyway. But just be photographing and videoing everything. I must take hundreds for every wedding that I do. My poor phone is bursting at the seams. And you have to have to be capturing that content in the first place to be able to actually post anything, because otherwise it gets to the end of the night where, you know, when you've maybe put the kids to bed and you've actually had some dinner and you know, you sit down and you think, oh, okay, I've got time to post on social media now. There's nothing to post.
Because and having those things in place, like you said, actually having the content there ready to go.
And it doesn't have to be a fancy expensive stand or anything. It could be propped up against a plant pot or
exactly. And that's what a lot of mine is. So that's probably something else to say now. Like we have especially this year, in the last year, we have moved away from wanting the perfectly poised, perfectly filtered, perfectly wonderful grids. What we want to see is actually, I say, the authentic self, or the raw images. We want to see all of that, because people are past wanting to see all this filtered stuff, and they're like, well, that's not really showing me. I remember actually seeing somebody, I was watching somebody doing some training, and I ended up having a discovery call with them, and when I went on the call with them, their face, I was just staring at their face, because I was like, how you look so different. And it's because she had such a strong filter on every single video, that when I finally saw her, I was like, oh, so that's what you look. I thought she was ill because
like, am I speaking to the same person?
So we're past the very filtered things. We literally want to see what you're doing. We want to get to know you, and we want to get to know the behind the scenes of what you do. And to do that, we need to see the way that you work. Video, as I said, is absolutely huge. So to even for when we're going to be buying from somebody, we want to get to know how they work. We want to get to know who they are and their sort of values. And being on video is the best way to do that. But if you're uncomfortable with being on video, we want to see your flowers all the time, and where you work and set up. And we want to see all of that. And just taking those small steps with, like I said, having it set up, ready to go. But you said having the content, having a bank of content there, you're already like 5 steps ahead of just sitting down and going, oh no, I haven't done anything. I need to post something. So that's, and if you can get in front of the camera, and if you can let people see you and get to know you, because we don't want to see all the same posts that everybody's doing. We want to see why you're different and why we want to work with you as opposed to somebody else. So
absolutely. I mean, I posted just to sort of show you guys, to explain to you guys how important video is, and how simple it can be. I posted a reel the other day, and my followers will be familiar with this reel. It was a beautiful bouquet with like peaches and blues and stuff in it. It was really pretty. And I got my creative on one day and just kind of bought a few pretty things in and made something beautiful out of it and got loads of content out of it. And it wasn't anybody's wedding bouquet. It was just me playing. And I just did such a simple video. The bouquet was propped up on someone's really pretty mantelpiece. And I just literally panned the camera from the left to the right, past the bouquet, and then around on top of it. And the whole reel was just that. There was no fancy kind of what they call transitions, things going in and out, or, things disappearing and reappearing or anything like that. It was just a 7-second video of me panning around, no text or anything. And it was my most popular reel to date. It's 7,000 views and counting. So, it's done really, really well. And, so that's like the power of it. And now I didn't appear on the video.
Which you don't have to.
It was super simple. You don't have to be technically fancy with editing or anything like that. It's just, bam, there you go. Flowers doing the talking.
Short videos as well, so having around 7 seconds is the ideal amount of time, because if we're scrolling, we're not watching long things unless it's somebody that that you really enjoy their content. You're going, oh yeah, I know them, I'll stop and watch it. We want the quick wins all the time. And actually on the kind of rawness, I did a TikTok last week that was very beautiful on the beach, and I kind of panned up. I was like, oh lovely, switching off on the Sunday, wonderful, and that had something like 200 views. And then the next one I did was the reality of yesterday, which was 2 cold, wet children, and we were seeing jellyfish on the beach, and everyone was worried about the jellyfish. And we had 3 dogs with us, and one of my dogs is quite old, and she was running around, and she was running around too much that she sort of got stiff. And the reality, I think it was something like on TikTok, it was like 1,300. So 5 or 6 times the amount of the beautifully set one. And that's the reality. People want to see the reality of life.
They can relate to that.
Exactly. Relate a lot more to 2 very whingy children who were getting cold and had to pass my jumper to them, and it was that's life. And people want to know that you are a human who has these ups and downs as well, and is dealing with things that you're dealing with. So seeing those things are they're going to help people relate to you.
Absolutely. So so video is a really important area to focus on. So that's, and yes, was there a couple of other areas that you wanted to cover as well? So
that's sort of just coming on from what I was saying, the being relatable. Connection is another big part, and that's being able for somebody to connect with you. So it's not just on your business, it's you as a person. So especially if you're in a particular area and your business is in that area, so making sure you are they know where you live, not exactly, but they know where your studio is, and you know where you're based, and having that connection in the local community. So if you're going to the local fairs, or if you're doing different things, people can then see that you're doing all that, and then you're part of your community, so they know you. Or if you're watching Stranger Things on the TV in the evening, and then somebody can then jump on and say, oh, I haven't seen that yet, and you're building those connections, you're starting those conversations, because that's what it's about. I think so I when I started, I was learning all about Instagram, and originally I was only really on Facebook and Instagram for personal things, and I never really gelled with Instagram. Whereas actually when I started doing my training into social media, I fell in love with Instagram, and how much easier it is to start those conversations in the direct messages as opposed to Facebook. I would never have messaged somebody in Facebook. But over on Instagram, if you're on your stories and you're just chatting with what you're doing, people will pick up on that and they'll respond, and you can ask them to respond, and using the engagement stickers. A few weeks ago, or a few months ago, I was finishing I do a Reels course, and I was just finishing the editing of it. So I just literally did a to-do list of what I was doing that day, and then somebody came in and said, oh, you're doing a Reels course, I'm actually looking for how to do Reels, can I sign up? And she signed up and paid that day.
Amazing.
But the intention of putting that on was not to get people, it's just letting people know what you're doing, and letting them get to know you, and having that connection, and the relatable things with having young children, having 2 springers. People then will having those connections, you kind of narrow down who you want to work with. You're like, oh yeah, well I know her because we like the same things on TV. We have dogs that are the same, so you actually start to build, because sorry, I'm jumping all over, but being on social media, we have this barrier up. We're not in person. You can't walk into a floristry shop and start having a chat about the weather and getting to know whether you like this person who stood in front of you. So we have to help people break down those barriers, like having a shop front. Your social media is your shop front. People will come and they will see you, and they'll have a few seconds to decide whether they want to stay or not. And giving those opportunities for them to get to know you, they're more likely to stay if you're their type of person. If they're not, brilliant as well, because then you know that they're never going to buy from you. That works both ways. So when people have unfollowers, please don't worry.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It might either be a bot that Instagram's clearing, or if people don't want to see your stuff, then great, because they're never going to buy from you. So my thing is not worrying about the numbers, more focused on providing for the people that are in your audience, and for your target audience, the people you want to work with.
Well, that's the thing, So I was like extremely extremely pleased with my 7,000 views on that reel the other day, because that's the most I've ever got, and you should only ever measure against yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if I looked at another florist, you know, I could name a few, but I won't. They consistently get like hundreds of likes on each thing, and they've got like 20,000 followers, things like that. If I compared myself to that florist, that would be, well, you're comparing apples and oranges, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that only makes me feel bad. You know, you've only got to sort of use yourself.
It's the only outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to, you know, think of, okay, well, what did I do last time? How can I improve? What's my aim? You know, do I want to, like, why do I want to get this 10k follower thing? Like, why is that the magic number? What's that actually going to do for my business?
Which it doesn't do anything anymore. Can we?
Exactly.
That used to be the whole swipe up thing, but now we all have a link sticker, so we can all and I think with numbers as well, it's come out a lot that people have bought their followers, or so just to throw in there, buying followers, engagement loops, all of follow for follow, or follow and unfollow. Don't do any of those, because if the thing with an engagement group, so if you're in a group and everybody says, oh yeah, let's all like each other's post or like each other's next post, follow each other, then what will happen is that they'll do that, and so the algorithm's like, okay, yeah, let's the algorithm's not working against us, let's just chuck that one in there as well. With us, they'll like that post, and so the engagement will go up, and then they don't like anymore because they've just gone in on your thing to like it and go. So then it will drop down again, so you're then even lower than you were before. So Absolutely. All of those things, all of the numbers, we don't know how those people got to those numbers, and we don't know where they are in their journey, and
those people in those follow loops are they're not your ideal clients anyway. They're like fellow florists or fellow business owners. They're not the people. Instagram's looking at this, the algorithm is looking at this and sort of thinking, okay, well, those sort of people are liking that account, so let's show it to more of that sort of person. Not the people that you actually want to be targeting, you know, which is couples who are wanting to get married.
I know, and I know it's hard because it's kind of like the instant gratification, but I think the way that I think of it now is that we're not doing things, we're not posting for the instant hit. What we're doing is building in marketing over each week, each month, each year, so that the aim should be building in marketing into your business. So whether that's email marketing, whether that's social media posts, or it's network marketing, you're setting out an hour, 2 hours a week to focus on that, and that is your goal. That's your goal, as opposed to oh brilliant, I've got 2,000 likes, and then the next day, oh no, I've only had 20 likes or views. And then so all that happens is your emotions go up and down, and you're like, well, what's the point of doing it? Whereas if the focus is on getting the content out there, creating the content, recording the content, and building it into your working week, then over time those views and those people engaging with you will go up. So
absolutely.
Hard, I know.
Play the long game, I guess. And just on that note as well, so I did a live to my Facebook group the other week. I had an absolutely fabulous wedding in May. May was actually full of really nice, big, you know, get your teeth into it kind of weddings, actually. It was very busy, but, you know, I got loads of good content off it after. Anyway, I digress. So I had this fabulous wedding, and, she had like aisle meadows and an arch and all sorts of stunning stuff. And I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out and everything. And a lot of people liked it, but it was a very interesting thing to post on social media because it was bright colours, which isn't what I'm known for. You know, if you look at my Instagram, a lot of it is, it's blushes and whites and greens and pretty things. And, I do put colour in there occasionally, if it's like autumnal, or I might put a brighter pink into something, but I'm not known for this kind of bright, summery colour kind of thing. So when I posted the pictures and reels and stuff like that on there, a weird thing happened. So I actually got people unfollowing me. I'm not hung up on that. It's fine. I know, like, oh my God. So I kind of got unfollows. I was just looking at it more like from an analytical point of view. I just thought it was really interesting. People unfollowed me, which whatever, that's fine. And but then it didn't, and the posts didn't do as well either as other things have done, which is often the case. I think blushes and whites and pinks and stuff are easily likable. Yes. So they're always going to do well, whereas something like this is a little bit more niche, and something I'm not terribly known for. So unfollows, less likes, but I got 3 inquiries from just posting those things. So that from the people who did like it and see it, like 3 people, which is quite good, in comparison to other things. Within a couple of weeks, 3 people came back to me and they were like, filling in, I'm getting married at that venue, or filling in the inquiry form, or I saw the pictures you did at that venue a while ago, and I loved something like that, please. So it's like, it was really interesting. So just because it didn't do as well on social media doesn't mean to say that it's, in real life it didn't do as well.
And that's the thing. People are gonna like, you don't know. Sometimes you think you do an amazing reel and you think, I really did work really hard on that. People are going to love it. And you post it and it doesn't get the reaction. You're like, oh, but there's so many factors that go into it that people might not have seen it, or they might have they enjoyed it, but they didn't like it. And there's so many things that go into it that it's really hard to tell sometimes. Sorry. When you were talking, I was thinking about something as well, but it's gone.
Totally gone out of your mind. I do that all the time. In my sort of perimenopausal days, I'm just like brain fog.
Feeling sleep.
So
Oh, no, sorry. It was when you were talking about niche. Sorry, it was just that as you were talking about that, when you're doing reels and you're posting things, to focus on the people that you want to be seeing, instead of like, I've got 2 dogs and they're very photogenic. So I could spend a lot of my time getting videos of them and slow motions through the fields and all that kind of stuff. But I'd get lots of people who love springers following me, which is brilliant, but not for my business. So it's when you're posting things on Instagram and Facebook, it's being very clear on on the type of people you want to be attracting. Whereas things like in the stories, you can be a bit more, this is me, this is what I'm doing. And
100%.
So that was the kind of thing. And if you're worried about social media, it's the idea is to try and focus on one platform. So not try and think, well, I've got to do all of them. Try and focus on one platform and get going on that in terms of motivation of doing it and knowing the platform before you start kind of going off onto different ones.
And I would recommend that. I know. I would recommend that be Instagram to anyone watching, because for Wedding Florists, our couples at the moment, they're on Instagram. That's where they're looking for the wedding. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't post on Facebook, but I don't put half as much effort into that. It's all about the Instagram. So if you're going to master one of them, make that Instagram, absolutely. So we've got video connection. They're the two of the points, 2 of the areas to focus on. What's the third one that you wanted to go through?
So the third one's engagement. So but to reminder in every single post to put something at the bottom of the post in the caption that is what we call to action. So we want which means you're asking them to do something. So whether it be like this post, share it, comment, send me a message, go to my website, go to my blog, go to this thing. And I know, even though I know how social media works, I do it as well. I might be scrolling. I'm like, oh, I really like this. And I'm liking it. And I'm really liking it. But I'm not going to click like until right at the end it says like this post. I'm like, oh, yeah, I do like it. So I'm going to click it. So we need to be directed how to do things. And a lot of us watch things passively. So you might be watching TV and you've got your phone and you're scrolling. So unless you're told to do something, you're not going to do it, which psychologically, it's really, really interesting how our brains work and how we're evolving with social media. But always use that opportunity, because if you don't, you're kind of putting a post out there without an ending. What do you want to happen here? So if you're not asking people to like it, or starting conversations in the comments, or sending them to your bio. And just another point on your bio, be very clear in your bio who it is that you help and how you help them. Because if you see a reel and you're like, oh, I really like this reel, you click on to look at their profile and it says, so for me, mum of two, has two springers, likes Instagram a bit, then you'd be like, okay. Whereas what my bio actually says is social media manager, content mentor, helps female business owners to understand Instagram with and how I help them. And then the link in bio, which then takes people to my website, or it takes them to a landing page where they can see lots of different areas where they can go. So make sure all of those links work, so they're not sort of dead links. So make sure they're all updated. But even if you've just got one link in there, make sure there's a link that goes somewhere so that they can see more of your work, they can get in touch with you, and they can buy from you in the easiest possible way. So you've got to
make it easy for them, right?
Yeah, I've done it before, and I'm like, website, and they want you to do that, and I'm like, oh, I'm out of here. Whereas if it's a buy now, done, I've bought, I'm ready to go. But even if it's a couple of clicks through, you're already thinking, oh well, this is too much hard work. What do I really want to work with this person that's making it so hard to buy from? So always have that engagement. And if people are commenting, comment back. So I've had people say to me that their engagement isn't very good, and then I go to their Instagram and there's all these comments from people, but they haven't replied to them. So so if you're sat there in the evening and you've not posted, or you're thinking about it, just go over your old posts and comment back, and have that as actual, you're working, you're responding to people, you're engaging with them, you're giving them an opportunity to open a conversation with you, because that's what we want to have these conversations. We want to get to know people in a genuine way, not I'm talking to you because I want you to buy from me. You're getting to know people, and the amount of friendships that I've made, and through social media, the connections that I've made with people who've then invited me to summits, or to talk in their membership, or to then collaborate on a particular thing. And so people within your industry, those engaging with people and connecting with people are so important. And if you're on stories, and if you're playing around on stories a bit more, make sure you use the engagement stickers, so you can have like the different types of flowers, and you say, which one do you prefer, this one or that one? Getting people to engage to then help you decide where your business is going. So if you're kind of deciding that you're going to go down a different avenue, you can do your market research within stories, and all that engagement is helping you get to know your ideal client more, helping you get to know what they want, which is helping you with your business. So it's all working together. So engagement is the last one, and they're really key. So ask people, like direct people where to go, where you want them to go, to engage with you more, but also respond back to them if they talk to you. And don't worry if it's ages, because I've done it where I've had like the last few months with children being ill, I've missed things, and I literally like, I haven't responded to a couple of people. I'll just go down all of my posts, even from weeks ago, because it might have been just before someone was sick, and then we've had a lot of sickness. Then I will go back and say, I'm really sorry, I missed this, and you start that conversation again, because then as well as from an algorithm point of view, if you're responding to them, they're responding to you, they're more likely to put your next post in front of them. So it's building those genuine connections, but it's also working with social media and these algorithms that we're working with.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just for people listening who, if you're an absolute beginner and you're not sure what we mean by engagement stickers, so when you go to put something on your stories and you post a picture up there, there's a little symbol at the top. It looks kind of like a square face. So if you pop on there, so in that you've got all sorts of things, like you can put a GIF in there or whatever, but there's various interactive kind of engagement ones. Like there's a little sort of slider, like a heart eyes kind of slider thing, so you can put that on your stories and get people to sort of slide it up to say how much they love it, to kind of vote on how much they love that picture. Or there's quizzes, there's polls. There's all sorts of things like that you can put on there that helps people interact. Location,
so
things
especially
like that.
if you're in an area, or if you're posting from a venue, and you can link the venue, because then the venue will be notified that you've linked them. But also, like you said, with an inquiry, people will be like, oh, I really love that venue. Where is it? You've linked it, so you're helping them with that as well.
100%, yeah. And you can do those in reels now as well, of course. That's a relatively new thing. So to help people engage on your Instagram reels, you can put something like I did one recently, which was 2 different types of pink rose, and it was just me putting both of them in a vase and sort of saying, look, vote, which one do you like, this one or this one? And it just got people interacting a little bit. So what was the other example I was going to give? Yeah, so I mentioned earlier about a reel, my most popular reel that I did recently, which was the peach and blue kind of bouquet. Just to sort of go to what you were saying about the interacting with people and answering their questions and commenting back and things like that. So it was actually a bridal boutique who put something on there, they put a comment on there, and rather than just going thanks and then tagging their name, I sort of wrote, oh, thanks so much, was there any particular one of your dresses that you think this would go with? And so I'm sort of asking them a question and getting them to interact even more, and they've then
giving them engagement, for them to discuss a dress for you, and it all works together.
Exactly. And I ended up they recommended us, I forget the name of the designer now, but they recommended a certain designer they follow, they stock, and I actually did a thing on Canva where I put one of their dresses with the bouquet on top of it and posted that on my Instagram stories and tagged that bridal boutique, and so things like that, just interact. Yes, replying is great, but also there's more you can do with that to try and find out more about them or get that relationship going with them, and just it's like ask them a question in return maybe, or have a conversation.
And like you said, with the local businesses as well, you tagging them, and then if you build up that relationship over time, and then if they've got somebody that they're looking for a florist and they're in there looking for their dress, and you say, do you recommend anyone? They say, these people on social media. So it all kind of fits in together, but it's all, I know, like you said at the beginning, it's kind of muscle memory. It's all things that you need to work on and build on. And that, especially with video content, if you're worried about getting on camera, that's another muscle to learn, to build on and to stretch yourself. So start out on stories, which are just 15-second videos that are gone after 24 hours. Start recording it, but not posting it, and then start building up to then doing some reels where that you see your hands and stuff, and then start doing reels with your face, but not posting it, and then you can build up to actually get it on there. Because I think people are worried about what they look like, or they're worried about their hair or an accent or anything.
You don't need to.
No, don't care. And I think now, like I used to say, sorry about the hair, or I've got a bit of, like, nobody cares. That what they want is to know is how you can help them. So they don't care that your hair's a mess, or they don't care that you're got an accent. Everybody has an accent, but somebody was really, really stuck on not wanting to talk because of their accent. And I hadn't even noticed. Obviously, I noticed they were from, I don't know, the Midlands or something, and I didn't really notice that they had an accent until they said, "Oh, I'm really embarrassed about my accent." I was like, "Oh, really?" Why? So people don't care. They just want to know how you can help them, or how you can entertain them, or provide them with some value. So without providing them with that value, you're doing a disservice to them, because you're not helping them. So the way I think about it, now, I was completely worried about getting on video. I was the person in the office that hated meetings. I hated role plays. Ooh, give me all of those things. I'd go red whenever anyone spoke to me. But the way that I think about it, the person at the other end of the camera is somebody that I know I can help, and I can help them with this tip that I have, and they won't know about it unless I tell them. So if I'm worried about it, that's what I think. I just think of that person on the other end of the camera, that I'm talking to that one person, not potentially 7,000. I'm just talking to one person. So it is a muscle that we have to, all of it is a muscle that we have to sort of exercise.
Absolutely. And just before you finish off by, because I know you've got a free guide for people to check out. So just before we sort of go through that, I just wanted to pick up on very quickly on a point that you made there. About recommendations when we were talking about the bridal boutiques and things like that. The amount of times that I hear that as an excuse for not doing their social media. So like, oh, social media is pointless. I only ever get a couple of likes on something. All my business comes from word of mouth, blah, 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 blah. It can be both. The social media is a fantastic way of getting the word out there for people to then recommend it. You're building relationships with people. It's not just about going, here, look at my pretty flowers, although do that. Absolutely. But in that instance, you're making a relationship with someone online. I've never met in person, by the way, that particular boutique, but when you're building relationships with them and their brides are trying on dresses, they need a florist, and it's like, oh, you should check out Floral Quarter. She posted a reel of the most beautiful bouquet the other day, and she's really lovely, and blah blah blah. I'm not blowing my own trumpet there. I was just giving an example.
No.
So it's just that's how you build that relationship, and that's how you get the word of mouth. So and that happened because of social media. So don't give up on the social media or make that an excuse.
It's all feeding in together. So you don't, like we said at the beginning, we don't know who's watching. So it could be, and if you know that a particular bridal boutique always recommends someone else, well, they might only do that because they had that connection from social media 2 years ago, but you don't know whether that recommendation is going to change shortly. You don't know unless you actually put yourself out there. And I know putting yourself out there is hard, but again, it's something else that you just have to get into doing. And each time you do it, it gets easier. So, and I fully appreciate that from somebody who just was scared of her own shadow, to then be out and like being confident on video. It is something to learn. So it is, and you can do it, because if I can do it, honestly, if you met me a few years ago, it would be a completely different story. But it's that making that conscious decision to get out of your comfort zone and take those small steps.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. So what was the freebie you have to give away to people, and how can they get it?
So I do have it's called a bio makeover guide, because lots of people I see that, like I said, that the bio is just, it needs to be clear exactly who you are, how you can help somebody, so they know, because you've only got about 3 seconds for somebody to jump onto your bio and go, I want to follow you. So that is on my Instagram within my link in bio. So my handle across social media is at Lucy Johnstone with an E, social. So if you can find me on there, and then you can come along and download my guide. I do Reels training, like I said, so that you can go onto the wait list for that. So I'm continually, I give people the updates of things and let you know, sort of break it down to make social media easier, so that you can connect with your ideal client without making it an insane task at the end of the week. So that's kind of the way that I want to try to work, is to break things down, because I don't want to always give people a massive to-do list, because I know what it's like with a to-do list, especially if it's something you're uncomfortable with, it will go to the bottom of the pile. Absolutely.
That's fun. I mean, we'll put the links to all of Lucy's, socials and a free guide and everything in the show notes as well. So you guys grab your copy, go to the podcast show notes and click the links to grab your copy. But Lucy, it's been absolutely fabulous chatting to you. It's always good to speak to a like-minded person and have a conversation and nerd out about social media a bit. But it's been lovely, and I'm so glad that you could make it today, because we were trying to arrange this, and like we say, life gets in the way, and a little boy was ill and we had to rearrange, and bless him, he's ill again this morning, so I hope he gets well soon. He's with his dad right now, so that's all right, just for those who are listening.
He didn't interrupt, so I was quite impressed that he didn't interrupt.
There you go. Brilliant. So thank you so much for coming along, and for everybody who's listened, I hope that's been really, really useful to you. Let me know if any of that resonates, and flower on. thanks so much for listening all the way to the end of Wedding Florist Social. Remember to hit subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. And if you want access to some free community and support, then head across to Facebook and look me up on the Worldwide Wedding Florist Community Group. I look forward to seeing you there.